Hi, and welcome to the Rave.com. I'm Allie here with Mac Miller, who just got done with a 4,000 plus people sold out show. How does it feel?
Radical, psychedelic, and awesome. Yep.
Well, I'm glad you had a good show.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So how did you create such a rabid fan base in such a short amount of time?
I mean, that's one thing is funny. I kind of like popped up on the map, you know, and when I popped up, a lot of people gravitated towards the movement. But a lot of people don't know is that I've like been putting out music since I was like 15 years old on the internet and like doing YouTube videos and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that it was just like, you know, I just don't really try and do too much, you know, like I've never tried to make myself look more like official or professional than I really am, and like the movement has been something that my fans can really grow with and like can look at and say that they were there when like I still don't have a website. You know what I'm saying? Like they can say like I was there before he was on MTV, I was there before this and that, because you know it's always, I didn't like come out of the gate with, you know, a full-fledged marketing plan. It was just like, hey guys, I'm me and this is me making music and you guys can like it or not. And you know, it was just like something that was, you know, it was a lot of grinding and a lot of work, but it wasn't, you know, something that I had to do too much for. I didn't have to like chase after fans, you know. I kind of just like kept it real, and then they'd like, you know, tell their friends, and that was like the key. Is like my fans telling their friends was the key, because it started real small, and then they'd be like you gotta check this dude out, and then that's how it really grew. Swag.
So you have 10 million YouTube views on your song Donald Trump.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It's nuts, but it's funny because like, you know, the more things that happen, you know, like you take a day with them to be like, this is awesome, but then immediately you got to strive for the next level, you know, like if you would have told me at 16 years old that I had 10 million views on a single song's video, I'd be like, I made it, right? That's making it. I'm good. I can buy a Bentley and move out to the suburbs and kick my feet up and relax, right? But now, you know, like you get that, and you know, it's crazy to me, you know, seeing that number and going to like songs that are #1 hits on the radio that don't even have the same amount of views, and you know, just striving for the next level and keep on working and kind of just taking it with a grain of salt and not like letting it make my head too big or be like, oh yeah, well I got 10 million YouTube views on Donald Trump. And that's really all that really like is pushing the song. Like that song made top 40 on the iTunes top 40 and top 10 for hip hop for a single once we put on iTunes after it had already been out for months and months and months. So and that's strictly off of, you know, it being on YouTube and me just being me. So it's no radio push, and it's just cool to see that like my fans are like just some down to earth people that are just like down to support what I do. And even if they download it, I get tweets all the time that are like, I downloaded it, but I just bought it 10 times because I love you. And I'm like, oh, damn, your mom's probably pissed at you, but good job.
So where do you get your inspiration for your music?
It like, you know, it's just like depends on what's happening, you know. Like I'm, you know, like right now I'm like more than excited about what's happening right now, because this is the first time since I put out Kids that I'm back in Pittsburgh making music and like relaxing and being able to really like reflect on life. That's like really what I do, is I kind of just take everything day by day, and certain events in my life will spark up songs. You know, like Nikes on My Feet came up because my first time I was ever in LA, and it was my first time buying, like I didn't make that song because I had like 6,000 pairs of Nikes. I made that song because it was my first time like buying multiple pairs of Nikes at the same time. And I was all like, what? Like, I got Nikes. And then I made that song. And so that's the type of stuff that happens, is like different events will kind of translate into music, and I think it's more like organic that way, to like not to like try for a song and not be like, oh, I need a party song, rather than just wait until you go to a crazy party and then make a song about it, you know. So, you know, like for instance, this night tonight, that night is probably gonna, you know, spark up some crazy song, hopefully. That's the plan.
How old were you when you first started your music career?
Depends how you define career, because I mean, when I first started banging on a piano, I was like 4, because my dad plays guitar, and my mom always had music like blasting in the house, like all kinds of music, everything from like the Talking Heads to Lauryn Hill to all type Aretha Franklin, crazy stuff. My mom. So I was like instantly like into music when I was really young, and not like I wasn't like really talented when I was like 4 or 6, like how Justin Bieber could like play the guitar at 6 years old. No, I couldn't, but I could be like, yeah, this is music. And then when I got to 8, I started writing songs, and like my grandma actually started making a scrapbook and has like these like lyric sheets I used to write when I was 8, and they're like love songs, and then there's like a little thing that says like rap part, and it's like yo yo yo. And it's just funny because that's what I've always done, is just made all kinds of music, because for a while I thought I was gonna be like the next like Jack Johnson, and I was like just playing guitar and writing songs. And then everyone used to say that my voice sucked at singing. So I was like, okay. And then I just kind of, once I hit, I always rapped and stuff just to joke around. But when I hit high school, I was like, all right, it's much easier to rap than to bring guitar everywhere. So we kind of started rapping. And then my homies were like, you're actually kind of good. And it became like I would go to parties and freestyle for everyone. And like, oh, look, Malcolm can rap. And then I finally started recording it when I was like 15, and just I like have been writing every day since 15. So that's how it started.
So you came out of the Pittsburgh music career area.
Yeah.
How did that help your career?
I mean, I just feel like you're a product of your environment. So, Pittsburgh has definitely kept me like a very level-headed person, because this is actually, in everything I've done, this is the first time. I just got back to Pittsburgh, like, when did we get back, Hugh? Like, last week. You gotta be ready with these. Yeah, this week. Like, I just got back to Pittsburgh from touring for like 4 months. And it was the first time that people recognized me in Pittsburgh. Like, I had been around the country, selling out shows, and then this is like the first time that people, in Pittsburgh, and it surprised me. So Pittsburgh has really kept me like a level-headed person, because it's just like the city that I grew up in. It's just like people around you. It's nothing like crazy to walk in and no one's like, Mac Miller, look, you're Mac Miller. They're like, oh, look, it's Malcolm, which is my government name. So like this was the first time I came back, and like it was kind of funny because I was like out to dinner and someone was like, oh, so you're that rapper that was on the cover of the city paper. I was like, yeah. But Pittsburgh has just been a cool place to kind of grow up with all different kinds of people, and like the place I grew up was like in the center, that like it's not like a lot of places you go, it's like kind of like the suburbs are like a bad neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? But like Pittsburgh, there's a lot of middle ground area where you kind of just chill and you can live like I grew up like 2 block, like across the street from a bad neighborhood, but then like a mile away from like a really nice neighborhood. So like my childhood was kind of like filled with doing everything. So it was cool.
Who or what is your biggest inspiration?
Like a lot of times that, like when asked this question, you're supposed to say like the musical influences you have, and you're, I like, and it kind of goes without saying like who my musical influences are, like, like people like Tribe Called Quest, Outkast, and like the Beatles and Oasis and like all different types of crazy music. I like all of it. But my true inspiration is really just like my homies and like my like people around me, because those have been the same people that have pushed me since I just started. Like when everyone was like, because when I started, like when I like put the word out that I was gonna be a rapper, like when I did that photo shoot, for instance, that's like I was like what, like 16 in that picture. Yeah, I was 16 in that, and everyone, you know, was just like kind of laughing at me, you know, like they were like, didn't take me seriously, you know, didn't even listen, but they were just like, there's no way this is gonna happen. And my homies were the people that like stood by me and like would go out and be like, man, what are you talking about? He's tight. And so, you know, those are like the inspiration that I have right now and like our day-to-day lives and like what we do. That's really where I want to pull music from, because pulling music from musical influences is cool sometimes, but, you know, like I'll listen to some crazy music and then go in and make a record, but it's way better to and more original and like more my own sound is when I just pull it from, you know, my life and people around me. And my mom, because she would like for me to say that. Yep, love you, Mom.
Always gotta thank the mom.
Yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta do it, or she'll beat my ass when I get home. Oh, your friends are influences, but not me. That's what she'll say. You know.
So was tonight one of the biggest headline shows that you've had so far?
It was the biggest headline show I've ever had. Yeah, like by a lot.
That's
we put before the biggest one was that Philly show, right? When we did it in PA. And we put like 2,300 people somewhere. Like when I was on the tour with Wiz, you know, like I was rocking crowds of like 8,500 and like crazy things like that looked like Dave Matthews Band concerts. But this was like I didn't know what, like I've been tweeting like up until the show, like not having a clue what to expect, because I didn't know. I thought that I was gonna get out there and there are gonna be some of my fans and then like just people that were there because it was a cool thing to do. But if you look there, front to back, there's people with their hands in the air, and I was shocked. You know, like I couldn't stop like smiling and like looking at all my homies and being like, you see this shit? Like, and looking at it, and the cool thing is, because I don't want to like hide that from my fans. I don't want to hide the fact that like they surprise me and like are such a big reason that like I stay so happy. And I don't want to come out there and be like, yeah, that's right, 4,000 people up in here, I did that shit. I want to come out there and be like, y'all are crazy, and this is like a great moment in my life, and I want them to know that I'm never gonna forget this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that makes me sound like a loser. I think that like that's real and that's important to me. So yeah, this was the biggest, and I mean, I love every city I've been to, but this was definitely like one of the best shows of my life and something that like changed my life forever. So shout out Milwaukee for that. But I still love all the other cities too, so don't get mad at me.
Well, we were happy to have you.
Yeah, cool.
So what's next for Mac Miller?
I know you want to do another show tomorrow. No. You know, I'm home, and it's like real cool to be home, and you know, just getting used to having a little money in my pocket to like buy some cool things. But you know, is really working on an album that breaks down barriers and something that like opens people's minds and push myself to make some crazy music. You know, like I got home and instantly went to the studio, because that's like I went and bought vintage keyboards and guitars, and I bought this sweet ass guitar called the White Falcon. It is like the coolest guitar in the world, and a drum set and all this crazy shit. So I've just been working on my album and that's really that's all I really care about right now, is getting, you know, doing a couple shows here and there, some festivals in the summer, and, you know, keeping in touch with my fans, putting out videos, and then working on an album that I can look back at and be like, this is the craziest thing I've ever made.
That's exciting.
Album coming soon. It will be available from various places for purchase. iTunes.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. You had a great show.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching therave.com. Be sure to check out Mac Miller soon. We'll see you soon on therave.com.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
You get those bracelets?
Yeah?
I don't have any. So
want one?
No, those are all
No?
yours, but just rock it
Sure?
with pride. I need to get one. I think they sold out. Assholes. But yeah, they did sell out all the bracelets. We sold out merch in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Great. I couldn't
You
even
sure
get
you don't want
anything. No, that's you. I want you to wear it all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, swag. Thumbs up. Shout out to therave.com. Shout out Milwaukee. Y'all are sweet. And I'm going to be back at the Rave for sure because it was awesome and I had a great time. So see you guys soon. Swag.